Welcome to the Real Estate Guys radio program. I'm your host, Robert Helms. There's all kinds of places in the world to invest, and today we're going to look at a super hot market that continues to perform well for lots of reasons. If you're in the market for a new market, maybe you'll consider the sunny market of Florida. We'll find out what makes it so strong, and we've got a great guest today on the Real Estate Guys radio program.
If you love real estate and have always wanted to own your own business, listen up. The Real Estate Guys and their panel of experts want to teach you how to go full-time fast in the real estate syndication business. These next few years may go down in history as one of the best times ever to acquire investment real estate. There are deals everywhere if you know where to look and how to assemble the resources. The Secrets of Successful Syndication seminar will show you how to make big money doing big deals from a team of experts that have syndicated projects totaling more than $1 billion. Don't wait for someone to give you a raise or create a job for you. Attend the Secrets of Successful Syndication and learn how to build a team, raise capital, find deals, and make full-time money in 6 months or less. Go to realestateguysradio.com and click on events. All the big players use syndication as a way to diversify risk, optimize profits, and earn big money. You can too. Go to realestateguysradio.com and click on events.
Welcome to the Real Estate Guys radio program. I'm your host, Robert Helms, and joining me today, Mr. Sunshine and our financial strategist, Russell Gregg.
Hey, Robert.
It's a beautiful day, especially if you're in Florida. We're here to talk today about one of our favorite markets, and that is the beautiful, bright, and sunny state of Florida. Lots going on there, and we're excited about getting updated to the market. You know, big picture is there are states that always do better in terms of cash flow and appreciation and tenant-landlord law and all those things than others. And for many, many years, the state of Florida has been kind of a winner.
Yeah, it absolutely has. You know, a few weeks back, we talked to Kenny McElroy, and one of the things that he taught us that we pay a lot of attention to is markets matter most, right? You can get a property, a duplex, a home, whatever it is, a fourplex and in multifamily property, whatever, in a lot of different places. But where that place is matters a lot. And of course, as we've been watching as the world has changed, and this change was going on before the pandemic. I mean, Florida has been attracting net in-migration for quite some time. You've got the baby boomer demographic, and that's part of it. It's been a hot retirement destination. It's one of only 7 states in the union that has no state income tax, which makes it extremely popular. It's got great weather, so it pulls people from the cold Northeast when they finally get a chance to retire. People love to vacation there. It's a worldwide destination. And like any state or any market, it's got different components. Southern Florida is very different than Central Florida. And then even within that, there's submarkets and whatnot. But when you add to that what's been going on from the pandemic side and the way they've managed their economy, the way they deal with businesses, they're considered a largely very landlord-friendly and business-friendly state. They have a lot to offer. They continue to have a lot to offer. And so when you can look at it at the macro, it looks good. The question is then you got to get down to the street level and find out with your boots on the ground team what in the heck's going on in the real world and where those pockets of opportunities are. But there's a lot to like about this market, so we're going to take a closer look at it in today's episode.
Well, you know, there are lots of markets. There's no one perfect market anywhere, but there's some great parts about Florida. It's one of the largest convention states in the United States, so a lot of people go there for business purposes. It's also one of the largest recreational states. There's a lot of reasons people go. There's major football teams and all those reasons that add up. And then, as you mentioned, you know, kind of the tenant-landlord part is always important. If you're in a state that is more tenant-friendly, you just have to be aware of that. Doesn't make sense to own real estate there, but all things being equal, it can make some sense to be in more landlord-friendly states, and we would put Florida on that list. And then the other part is just, why are people moving? They're moving to Florida because of jobs. They're moving to Florida because of infrastructure, and they're moving to Florida because of taxation. There's a lot of people who are moving out of highly taxed states to lower tax states because that's an instant 5 or 10 or 12% savings. And we've seen that happen for a long time. It's got some interesting homestead laws and so forth. So hopefully we'll open up your mind to some ideas. Last few weeks we've been doing our spotlight on hospitality, and this seemed like a good buffer show because there are parts of Florida where there's great hospitality properties. In fact, our guest today actually dabbles in some of the short-term rental management and those kinds of things, but it also is a bread and butter market in terms of the jobs and the diversity of industry. When you look at any market, you want to understand who are the owners, the stakeholders, who are the tenants and likely tenants, and what are the reasons they're moving there. We want to see multiple reasons, not just a single reason. Many times in our career, we've been tempted to look at a market that had a single story. Hey, there's a big prison going in, or there's a big college going in, or there's a big pipeline going in. And all of a sudden, there's a temporary need for housing. Well, the key word there is temporary. In many of those cases, once that need is satisfied, the market is kind of what the market is. In some cases, many of those jobs don't stay and they get overbuilt. What's great about the Florida market is it's diverse, and we're going to learn lots more details today when we meet our guest, Chris Funk. You're tuned to the Real Estate Guys radio program. I'm your host, Robert Helms.
Live nationwide, you're listening to the Real Estate Guys. Find out more at realestateguysradio.com.
Hey, it's Robert Helms. Thanks so much for listening to the show today. I want to personally invite you to come see an amazing real estate market that combines excellent cash flow, offshore diversification, and what we affectionately call lifestyle investing. Come join me from August 20th to 23rd in the beautiful country of Belize. The Real Estate Guys have been bringing investors to Belize for more than 15 years now, and our discovery trip is designed to show you the market like nobody else can. Sure, Belize is breathtakingly beautiful, the people are wonderful, and wait till you taste the food. But the real opportunity is the real estate investment potential. Demand for offshore real estate has skyrocketed since the coronavirus shutdown, and with retirees looking for lifestyle, the work-from-home workforce able to be productive from afar, and tourism coming back strong, now may be the perfect time to consider Belize as a place to diversify risk in your investment portfolio. There's all types of opportunities in Belize when it comes to real estate investing, including both long and short-term rentals, commercial and retail triple net properties, business opportunities, land acquisition, development, agriculture, and more. As the only country in Latin America with English as its official language, it's easy to understand the law. Property rights are strong, and contracts are written in English. And in Ambergris Caye, a unique situation exists where demand for rentals continues to outstrip supply, creating a compelling environment for investors. So come see for yourself. Join me in August in Ambergris Caye, Belize, as we study the market, learn about the sustainable drivers, and tour lots of beautiful real estate. And like all of our field trips, there are no properties for sale during the weekend. Rather, you'll meet lots of local providers that will help educate you about the market so that you can follow up with them after the trip if the market is interesting to you. You've heard about Belize on the Real Estate Guys for all these years. Now come see what all the excitement is about. Plus, we'll have lots of time over meals and activities to talk about all things real estate. To get the details, go to the website at realestateguysradio.com and click on events where you'll find the Belize Discovery Trip. Once you register, you'll get information about our group hotel rates as well as travel details. So join me in Belize, August 20th to 23rd. It's a beautiful country with lots of amazing possibilities, and the only thing missing is you. Go to realestateguysradio.com under events, and I look forward to seeing you in beautiful Belize.
Hi, this is Mauricio Raul, the founder and CEO of Mir Law Group, and you're listening to The Real Estate Guys.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Guys radio program, heard every weekend on this fabulous radio station and all the time at realestateguysradio.com. We're talking today about one of the hot spots, literally and figuratively, when it comes to real estate in the U.S., and that is the state of Florida. Please welcome back to the Real Estate Guys radio program our good friend, property manager and builder developer, Chris Funk. Hey, Chris.
Hey, guys. How are you?
We're good. It's always good to talk to you. And you're always so cheerful, I guess, because Florida's always so cheerful.
That's right. You know, the weather's fantastic. What do I have to complain about?
There you go. Well, there's a lot of emphasis on what's happened. Certainly, last time we talked, we're kind of in the middle of the whole figuring out what's going to happen in a pandemic, and we've been through that. But update us, if you would. What's that shaken out? A year into the pandemic and eviction eviction moratoriums and some states closing up everything and other states being more prone to let business stay open. How has Florida fared?
Well, Florida has fared very well from a COVID pandemic perspective. I'll tell you that the business in general has had me on an emotional roller coaster for the last 12, 15 months. We've been very fortunate here that I don't feel like we ever completely shut down. There was always, the restaurants, even when you couldn't go into them, they could still do takeouts, and there was, all the services were, generally open for the most part, or you could find an open location. So, we did not experience the true lockdown that a lot of states have. But today, it's open season, all the restaurants are open, everybody's, I don't say back to normal, you still a lot of face masks and still a lot of distancing, but, people are kind of getting back to normal life from, going out to dinner and going out to, see their friends and their family. So, we're very thankful for that. We still are seeing, a significant amount of folks that are unemployed, but some of them are still, I would say, intentionally unemployed.
Yeah.
There's still a fair amount of stimulus out there, which has created some different struggles from our leasing perspective, where our leasing staff is having to work extra hard on the screening side of things, making sure that people actually have jobs. And, we're seeing a high amount of denials from a leasing standpoint, but we are seeing an absolute wave of applications. So we're denying about 30% of the applications that come in, but we're seeing about 100% more applications come in than we've ever seen before.
Wow. Well, there's a great point on the curve.
Yeah, it's been that's been a little overwhelming. I'm not going to lie. We've really had to staff up our leasing department, and our leasing manager, if she's listening, we appreciate you. I know you've been working to midnight for the last couple of weeks, so thank you, Becky House. But yeah, it's there's been some real upside. As a builder, there's been some real downside. This has been a tough year for builders. There's a real estate boom going on, but there's also I feel like the lumber companies, they're almost like those cyber hackers. They just holding you over the barrel, and lumber costs have shot up almost 400% in the last 12 months.
It's crazy, isn't it?
So it's very hard to peg the cost of a build, and that's not the only item that's increasing. Pretty much across the board. Shingles and electrical wire. Heck, last week we even had a hard time getting garage door springs. So I mean, every little component is either scarce or very expensive, or both. From that standpoint, our purchasing team has been working around the clock to just try and keep track of what are the actual costs to build a home. We used to be able to lock prices for 90 days on lumber and 6 months on shingles, and we're lucky if we can lock a price for 24 hours at this point in time, even if there's availability for it. So that's the emotional roller coaster. So there's more demand than we've ever had, but the cost to build is higher than it's ever been. More tenants applying for houses than they ever have. So that's fantastic. So I would say net, we're seeing a lot more good than we are bad, but it's an interesting time right now.
Well, we always are going to have problems, and it's just wish for the problems that you want to be able to solve. And having a lot of demand is a problem for the reasons you stated, but that's all right. If we're going to work on a problem, might as well be one like that. And the construction thing is fascinating. It's happening all over the country, but big picture is real estate moves in cycles. And there's only been a few times in my investing career where I could consistently buy below replacement cost. And we've talked about that in the past. You got into the market at one of those times when you were doing a lot of rehabs and so forth and able to make really good buys. And that turned out pretty well. But when we're in the market like we are now, and for a builder to deliver a new product at a price that's up 10, 20, 30% more, there's no choice but for the price to go up. And when the price of the new building goes up, well, guess what? So do the comps. And so we're seeing that across the U.S. We're seeing a lot of strong markets, and yet we're still sailing into some headwinds like the ones you've mentioned. Let's transition a little bit. We talk about Florida. Florida's a big place. There's certainly, southern Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach, those areas, which tend to be strong. It's also a lot more of an international marketplace and has been forever. As the pandemic shut down airports, that had a big effect there. But we're starting to see that, come back around, and people are traveling internationally, and not to the degree they were. There's still countries that are closed. There's still particular destinations that require a vaccine to travel. But for the most part, we're starting to see that part of it move again. Then, of course, there's Central Florida. There's tons of medical and university and Disney and those things. And then there's the markets you're in. Why don't you give the listeners an idea? You work in a pretty wide variety of markets in Florida. Where are you guys concentrating?
Sure. So we're in Jacksonville, which is Northeast Florida. We're in Palm Coast, which is about an hour south of that. We're in Ocala, which is Central Florida, just a little bit north of Orlando. Some surrounding markets around Ocala, meaning Inverness and Citrus Springs. And then we're in Southwest Florida, which is Cape Coral, Fort Myers, Port Charlotte, Punta Gorda, Inglewood, those areas. They all have a lot of different characteristics. There's a lot of similarities too. Each one of them is growing, but growing for different reasons. And that, that's obviously one of the things that we look for in every market that we go into is a growth trend. When we get there, we want to see that it's growing, and we're just latching ourselves to that train, and we're seeing that all over the place.
Well, if someone hasn't met you before on our program and they're hearing that you're building houses, a lot of builders are building primarily to sell to end users, but your background is actually in property management. You've got an incredible property management company that handles lots and lots of investors' units. And that's a little bit different animal too, because we're not just concerned with, can we build something and sell it at a profit, but is there going to be a long-term tenant, and who are those tenants? And today you are seeing a wide variety of folks looking to get back to work, and that's probably going to continue. Certainly there's this strange time period where I can make more money staying home than going to work, and that's been true for some folks, but that's only temporary. And when people do come back to work, they're going to be back to work in the industries that matter. Florida's big in a bunch of industries. Talk about some of the industries that you guys focus on from a tenant perspective.
Sure. So we have a huge medical industry, and that really is every single one of our markets. We see that. Jacksonville, interestingly enough, has a fairly sizable finance community. Many of our markets have relatively high military presence as well. Jacksonville has several military bases within very close proximity or within Jacksonville itself. And then, we've got like Ocala. Ocala has, again, another wide variety, but some also very interesting and niche sort of things. So it's the horse capital of the world. They actually built, and I just got to tour this a couple weeks ago, the World Equestrian Center in Ocala. And this is, approaching about $1 billion development within the Ocala market right now that's attracting people from all over the country, which, horse enthusiasts typically are people with money. So it's drawing, a lot of additional money to Ocala. But then you've got, all of the other side of Ocala, which has been a very business friendly area with all the manufacturing and distribution that's going on there. So FedEx has a huge hub there. So does Chewy. Chewy shows up at my door once a week for my dog's food. In addition to that, just your general service workers and or municipal workers. A lot of our tenant base in that particular area is firemen, school teacher, police officer, and then a lot of the service industry that you see that would support the Villages, which is very close to Ocala. So Villages is one of the fastest growing retirement communities in the country,
and a big one at that.
It's huge. I mean, if you go look at it on a map, you'll be shocked. I mean, it just sprawls out with tentacles everywhere. But that in itself is attracting a lot of people to the surrounding markets. So one of the things that we're seeing is a lot of people coming to our big markets. So Jacksonville, people know Jacksonville and they're coming to Jacksonville, and it's hit, so many of the, top 10 lists for affordability and investment. And, so it's really made a name for itself, and that draws a lot of attention and traction. But then it also spreads out from there. So our Palm Coast market is an hour away. And in between Palm Coast and Jacksonville is St. Augustine, which is a picturesque little town, just a gorgeous, one of the oldest cities, claimed to be the oldest city in the U.S. I'm no expert. I'm not a historian. I'm a real estate guy. So I'll just say what they claim. So, so we see that there's a lot of people that are moving into that Palm Coast market that are either commuting to Jacksonville or commuting to Orlando. It's kind of that halfway point in between. And then we see like some of the even smaller markets that we've started building in, like Citrus and Inverness. And those markets are, really just, I think, primed to, really explode, because you've got this influx of people that are coming into Jacksonville and Ocala. They know that name. But then you've got some of the people that are in those areas that are saying, hey, there's way too many people coming here. And, so they're starting to move out to that town that's just, 20 minutes away. And we're really seeing those come to life. And we're seeing a lot of government dollars being spent on parks and recreation in those areas. Florida's full of national parks and all sorts of outdoorsy things to do. And these communities are really banking on that and really adding to those amenities, which is great for us. We don't have to build amenities because the government's doing it for us. So,
well, and you bring up a really, really awesome point, and that is when a market is strong and when you have what we call net in migration. In every market, everywhere, every day people move in and they move out. If there's more people moving in than moving out, it creates a strain and a demand on real estate. And what happens in these types of markets, which you guys are right in the thick of, is all of a sudden prices get driven up, demand is high, vacancy's low, there's stress in a market. And then the opportunity comes, well, if we could just go 10 minutes or 20 minutes outside of the main area, well, we drive a little and save a lot, right? The lots aren't quite as expensive yet there. The homes aren't quite as expensive. Rent's not quite as expensive. A tenant has to think about, well, is my gas bill going to be more expensive? So I'm driving further, but they trade that off with quality of life. And this can create an awesome opportunity. And watching you guys hone in on this in lots of different submarkets, if you will. You understand the big market. That's what's going to drive the economy there. But these smaller markets can be much better real estate plays. And specifically, Chris, what you guys do is you build to rent. You build a brand new product, but it's not designed for a homeowner to live in as much just designed for a landlord to keep as a great place to house tenants and create income. Talk about that niche in the business and what you're seeing in demand there.
Sure. When I look at what is being produced by a lot of the national home builders for starter homes, what we're producing for our tenants is not only better for our landlords from a durability standpoint, but it's also better for our tenants because it's nicer in many cases than what they could buy as a starter home on the market today. And what does that mean? Well, we put in granite countertops in every single flat, hard surface in the house. So, the kitchens, the bathrooms, it's all granite with undermount sinks. We put in a upgraded vinyl plank floor everywhere in the house. It looks beautiful. It looks like a hardwood floor. From a landlord perspective, it's a lot more durable than a hardwood floor. So, when a tenant moves in and moves out, you're not having to go have the wood sanded down and redone. And more importantly, it's not carpet. Carpet is the bane of any landlord's existence, in my opinion. And so you're not replacing carpet every time that a tenant moves out or dealing with a nasty, stinky carpet that I don't know why, but it doesn't seem like carpet lasts more than one turn. So we build it with that in mind. And then the exterior of our buildings, they're all either cement block or cement board, meaning like a hardy board, cementous board type product. And that was one of the things that we really mandated when we started doing this, because we came from that rehab side of the business where we were buying these houses that had been built in the 2000s, with the T111 siding that was falling apart and all these WDO issues. And we said, man, we don't want to deal with that. We don't want our buyers to have to deal with that when they go to sell this property down the line. So, these homes are built to be durable. They're built to be low maintenance. I talk about all the things that we do put in the homes, but there's some things that we don't put in the homes. So we don't put garbage disposals in, for instance. That's a constant maintenance nightmare. It doesn't seem like a big thing, but when that thing breaks and we got to send a plumber and it's $125 service charge for them to go fix it, that adds up, and it really hits the bottom line hard. So so those are some of the things that we intentionally don't put in the homes.
See, that's experience right there. So most leases say that plumbing stoppage is the responsibility of the tenant because they put stuff down the sink they shouldn't. But when you try to help them out and put in a disposer, all of a sudden that becomes a part of the equipment that is part of the house. And when something goes wrong with it, well, now that's the landlord's problem. So that's our nugget of the day there, folks. It seems like a tiny thing, but when you got a big portfolio, that can really add up. And those service fees, you got to get the tenant serviced. If their sink isn't working, they're calling you and you've got to stop everything and get somebody out there, and it's cost. So that is the voice of experience for sure. I know there's a lot of things like that you guys do. You specifically engineer the home so that it is attractive to tenants, what tenants want, what they're looking for today, but also the durability part. If I'm going to live in my house for 5 years, I'll deal with the same carpet. It's my kids, it's my dog. But when someone moves in after a year and the carpet is not new, as you say, rarely can a carpet survive the churn. And everybody knows that it's a little bit of a downgrade if you go into a new apartment or a home and the carpet has been cleaned but not replaced. That's just a little bit of a negative, of a dig against it, as opposed to the surfaces you use when you walk in, and whether it's the first tenant or the 15th tenant, it still looks great.
Yep, that's exactly right. And, and it reduces friction with both the landlord and the tenant. Once we sell that home, we're now the property manager. And, so we're in between there, and we want to make sure everybody's happy. From a landlord perspective, we want to make sure that they're getting the returns that they expected to get on those properties. And from a tenant perspective, the only way that we can get those landlords the returns is if we keep that tenant happy and keep them in the home for as long as possible. So, by reducing friction with the tenants, by eliminating things that are going to cause friction or that we know that they're going to damage or break, then it in turn reduces friction with the landlord on the back end. Because when you're getting your check every month, then, it's coming in and you're making a nice return. That's great. You just cash the check and keep on moving down the road. And we hope they come back for more. That's really, you pointed to it earlier, but that's really our business model. We are a wholesale builder for investors. People ask, particularly some of our investors ask, Chris, can you not go make more money selling these homes on the retail market? And the answer is definitively yes, we absolutely could, but that's not our business model. We are investors ourselves, and for us, we like dealing with investors. I'm not particularly suited to deal with homeowners talking about what paint color that they want on the bathroom versus the kitchen, and so we've really made that our business model, and we sell exclusively to investors, and we make it a point to make sure that our job is to find land inventory to be able to support our investors' appetite for years to come. So we've got a very strong acquisitions team that's going out and buying lots right now in the market. That lot prices are going up, so we're trying to buy lots for a year to 2 years into the future, so that we make sure that while the market prices might be going up, and we've obviously had to raise prices due to lumber increases, we're not having to raise prices as much as the retail home builders are, because they're buying lots in today's market and they're trying to sell them in today's market, and we're looking a little bit further down the road. To make sure that we're able to provide that value for our clients.
Well, it's awesome that you're willing to pull back the curtain a little bit on that too, because this is critical, whether you're interested in Florida or not, or just this idea that there are builders that specialize in investor inventory for a lot of the reasons that you've said. But there's a subtle point. It's not just that you guys are investors and so you understand investors. That's all very much true. But it's also this. The national home builders build to an audience of owner-occupants that move every 4 to 7 years. Well, an investor will buy a property every 4 to 7 months if they can find a good deal. So when you do a good job, and we get the feedback that you certainly do from our listeners, then people will buy more than one. And because you're in more than one market, it's not like, well, I'm a little too exposed to Ocala. Okay, well, there's several other markets to choose from. So that's one of the big distinctions. Now, you mentioned property management. I want to hit on that when we come back, because that is also one of your core competencies, and that's a unique part of your story as well. Our guest today is Chris Funk. We're talking about the beautiful market of Florida and where there may be opportunity for you. When we come back, we'll play real estate trivia next. You're tuned to the Real Estate Guys radio program.
Real estate investment advice right in your mailbox. Sign up for the free Real Estate Guys newsletter at realestateguysradio.com.
Real Estate Guys listeners, are you tired of losing real estate deals due to financing issues? Have you had enough of waiting on banks, lenders, and investor groups to fund new projects? What if there were a way to eliminate all the hassle and invest in real estate on your own terms? I'm here to tell you there is. Patrick Donahoe here from Paradigm Life. I'm an Investopedia Top 100 Most Influential Financial Advisor, and I recently wrote a best-selling book about the financial strategy that changed my entire investment model, and the one that could change yours. To get a copy of my book for free and learn how you can maximize your real estate portfolio by acting as your own bank, send an email to mybank@realestateguysradio.com. Don't make another real estate deal without reading my book first. Email mybank@realestateguysradio.com now to get your copy for free.
Hey, ever wished you could go back in time and do some tax planning? Now you can, just like Marty McFly. Lucky for you, a brand new federal law just made this possible with an EQRP to get tax deductions and reduce your taxable income from last year, so you can use that tax savings to invest in real estate, Bitcoin, gold, even your own business. Whether you're a full-time investor, doctor, government employee, even if you have 5 or 50 employees, the EQRP works and is your secret weapon, and now it's retroactive. Hey, I'm Damian Lupo, and we have your solution. By the way, if you got bad advice and used an IRA for an apartment syndication, you are sitting on a U-bit time bomb. But don't worry, there's a solution, the EQRP. The EQRP company is ready to help you get control of your money, kill U-bit, and help you pay way less taxes. Want to learn more about this strategy? Send an email to eqrp@realestateguysradio.com for my special EQRP report. Paying tax or letting Wall Street suck you dry is dumb. Your first step is freeing your retirement money by sending an email to eqrp@realestateguysradio.com today.
Hi there, this is Danielle DiMartino Booth, author of Fed Up, an insider's take on why the Federal Reserve is bad for America, and you're listening to The Real Estate Guys.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Guys radio program. Thanks so much for tuning into the show. Hey, if you ever want to do bigger deals using other people's money, or you want to passively invest alongside bigger deals that get better returns, come on out to the Secrets of Successful Syndication, our 2-day training that takes place in September in Dallas, Texas. We've got a great faculty, and you'll meet tons of cool people. All the details on our website at realestateguysradio.com under events. It's our hot market update. We're talking with Chris Funk about what's happening in Florida. Before we get back to that discussion, it's time to play real estate trivia. That's your chance to win a prize if you know something about the very market we're talking about. In just a minute, I'll give you a trivia question. When you think you know the answer, send your best guess to trivia@realestateguysradio.com. Trivia@realestateguysradio.com. Give us your name, the answer to the question, and your physical mailing address, because if you're the first to get it right, you're going to get an awesome book called The One Thing That Changed Everything, a collection of incredible stories put together by our good friend Kyle Wilson. That could be yours if you know today's real estate trivia question. Last week, we wrapped up our 3-part spotlight on hospitality, and we asked this: name the national tree of Belize. Well, lots of folks knew that it's the mahogany tree, of course. Belize is a net exporter of a lot of hardwoods, including beautiful mahogany. Here's our real estate trivia question for this week. The largest college by undergraduate enrollment is located in the state of Florida. Name it. Yeah, name the largest college by student count in the United States. It happens to be in Florida. What college is that? If you know, or you just want to guess, and it's a pretty easy guess, then quickly fire off an email to trivia@realestateguysradio.com. Give us your name, the answer to the question, and your physical mailing address, the first person that gets it right gets this incredible book, The One Thing That Changed Everything. That's today's real estate trivia question. We're talking about the beautiful state of Florida, and specifically, we've got Chris Funk with us. He really got involved in real estate in a unique way and has gone in through the property management door for many, many years. Chris, I've had the privilege of being at your office and meeting your managers and your team, and just an awesome, awesome job of the way you've organized the whole thing, and all the units that you're managing on behalf of people, and then recognizing, well, gosh, if we only had, some more units to manage, and that got you into the construction side of the business. And so I think the reason it's important people understand that is that property management isn't just something you refer people to, which is sometimes the case for builders. It's like, well, hey, we build, for investors, but we don't really manage this stuff ourselves. So here's a list of names. And that's one level, and that works. But in your case, it's the heart and soul of your business. You kind of originated in property management, first in your own portfolio and then for clients. So let's talk about that side. Property management is really the probably least appreciated and most important part. I mean, yeah, you got to build an awesome house, but what delivers the return is the management. So talk about the challenges and the opportunities that you found in that arena.
Well, when we first got started, we quickly found that we could not find a manager that really wanted to dig in and do the hard work. And that was very frustrating. When we first started, we were buying in some very distressed areas that were very management intensive. And we found that our management team that we had hired before we started Suncoast just really wasn't willing to do the extra work. They were happy to charge us fees if the rent came in, but if the rent didn't come in, they weren't really willing to put in that extra work to go try and collect it and figure out what the problem was. So that's how Suncoast became into existence. And really, it's just grown from there through all the years here. We're going on, I think probably 10 years right now. I think we're about our 10-year anniversary at the moment. We've gone through this transition from buying foreclosed homes at the auction, older type product, renovating it, leasing it, and managing it, or selling it and managing it, to primarily build for rent right now, just because we can't find the value in the older construction model at the moment. And that's really been the driving force behind our property management company. And I guess you could say we're a little bit of control freaks in that, we just don't feel like we want to leave our destiny or that of our buyers up to somebody else. If we really believe in a market and we think that, rent should be X dollars and, that's what it should be, then we feel like we should be able to go get that rent and, and not have any finger pointing back and forth. As soon as you get two entities involved that don't have aligned interests, and one of them's going to look at the other one and say, well, you did this, and the other one's going to say, well, no, you did that. And everybody's going to figure out a reason why either the management company is not doing something right or the builder didn't do something right. And the reality is, you just need to have alignment. Because our companies are sister companies, we have that alignment and we're able to move a lot faster. We can start pre-leasing homes before we have a CO on them, because we're not worried about who's going in there that doesn't know that maybe it's still a construction site. So there's a lot of synergy that we get through being both the builder and the property manager. And it also gives us comfort that we can provide what we're telling our clients to expect.
I'm going to guess that pretty much every property manager on earth has a property or two that they wish they didn't have in their portfolio, right? So here's a tremendous shortcut. Why not build stuff that you manage yourself? Because then you know everything about it. So that's one part of it, which is great. But it's also, I think a key distinction here is because you guys are there to service investors for the long haul. They buy a house from you, you get it tenanted up, and they might have that house for 3, 5, 10 years. And it's a big part of your business model to take care of those tenants, take care of that landlord, and be the conduit. And so you don't have to make every single dollar on building the house because you know you're going to have that long-term and arguably better residual income from taking care of the tenants. And then the fact that you build up a substantial portfolio of units from lots of different investors means you have those economies of scale. I must tell you, I was pretty surprised at the sheer number of people working in your office, but also the organization, the way that certain managers and their groups react. Now, how much of that is geographic? Can a manager effectively manage on your team more than one market, or is it a manager per market? How does that part of it work?
Sure. So that changes on a almost monthly basis at this point with as many units as we put online. So we have managers in each one of our markets. So we have field people in every market, and then we have the mothership, I guess you would say, which is our corporate office in Jacksonville. So our corporate office provides support for every single one of our markets. So in property management, there's certain functions that you can do over the phone and via email. And then there's certain functions where you just have to actually have somebody on the doorstep, peeking through that window to see if, has that tenant moved out, or, we haven't heard from them in a while. What's going on? So, so we have field staff in every market, and then the support staff. So, I would say it's a blessing and a curse for some of our landlords, whereas you might have a couple different people that you're dealing with. If you have a property in Atlanta, you have a property in Jacksonville, you have one in Ocala and one in Palm Coast, which we have clients that have that, that may mean that they have 4 different portfolio managers, because the person in Atlanta can't necessarily know everything that's going on at a property in Palm Coast. So we are segmented geographically with our portfolio managers, but all supported by our staff in Jacksonville. Right now, we just tipped over the 100 employee counts across our various entities.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on that. That's exciting, and I'm sorry to hear it. No, but you've got a great team and a great culture, which I think is a big part of growing an organization. I think that we've talked a little bit about the more landlord friendliness of Florida, but maybe paint that picture for folks that are listening and maybe have rentals in other states. What generally is the tenant-landlord law like for people who buy in Florida?
Sure. I mean, tenant-landlord law really comes down to eviction for the most part.
Yep.
If you have to evict a tenant, are you going to be stuck with that tenant for a year? Like some of the states, I've heard California is very hard to remove tenants from homes in.
It is.
And Florida's not that way. In normal times, we can remove a non-paying tenant within about 30 days. If they contest it, maybe it could go a little bit longer, but we're really not seeing that lengthy squatting period where people are just staying in a home, not paying. I will say COVID did have some effect on that. Not as much as I anticipated, honestly. We had a small percentage of our tenant base that really took advantage of the COVID moratorium on evictions and stayed in the houses, but it really was not overwhelming. What we found is, a lot of the tenants really appreciate their homes, don't want to be out, and they're very, they were thinking, in a very forward way. Hey, short term, maybe I could get away with not paying my rent, but at the end of the day, I'm still going to have an eviction on my record, and sooner or later, this free ride is going to be over. So we saw very few people that took advantage. Now, there were some people that legitimately, needed that moratorium, but there were a couple that took advantage, but not many.
Well, and it's also part of the segmentation, right? When you have primarily single family homes, that's just a little different clientele than like the C-class apartment dweller. And because of that, people tend to stay longer when they move into a brand new home, which is, of course, the case when you do build for rent, then they tend to stay longer. So there's a lot of ideas there. And we've talked before about that whole concept. We're so excited about your market that we're going to come visit. We're going to dust off the Real Estate Guys field trip and come on out and spend some time with you and your team. And very excited about that. And we haven't made all the plans exactly, but we have the dates. We'll tell you those in a minute. Tell us what you're putting together for the folks that decide they want to come out and see this market up close and personal.
Well, first of all, I'm just happy to say that I'm so looking forward to actually seeing people in person as opposed to all these Zoom meetings. So we're very much looking forward to it. Our last in-person field trip was February of 2020.
Yeah.
Right before the end of the world as we knew it. So we intend to get everybody here. We're going to have a nice dinner on the first night that everybody arrives. We're going to get up early and we're going to go see some properties. We're not going to spend the whole time in a classroom. We want to get you out there to see what we're building, what we're developing, what it is that we're doing behind the scenes to make all this happen. You'll get to see some of our infill lots, which are lots where we're building homes within existing communities. And you'll also get to see some of our brand new subdivisions, some of these communities where we're putting in the roads and the water and the sewer and all the infrastructure. It's funny, you drive down the street and you don't recognize all that goes into that road and to make that housing development possible. But a lot of times we're into projects for 2 or 3 years before we're able to get a home to come out of the ground to be able to sell. So you'll get to see some of those in the works. And that's going to be in our Jacksonville market. Then we're going to see our Palm Coast market, and we're going to see our Ocala market. So we're gonna hit that little triangle there in the north and central Florida market.
That's awesome. And one of the big benefits, of course, is the part you talked about, which is seeing the market up close. So as we're traveling from properties and developments through different areas, we'll also get to see the sustainable drivers, we call them, the reasons that people are going to be there as tenants. And there's a lot of great reasons there, so we won't steal that thunder. But I will tell folks that you've put together a pretty cool report on what's happening in the Jacksonville market. Now, it's just about Jacksonville primarily. You're going to learn, if you come on the trip, about all the other markets and the nuances there. But if you're interested in learning more about Florida and specifically the Jacksonville market, all you have to do is send an email to jacksonville@realestateguysradio.com, jacksonville@realestateguysradio.com. That'll also get you back some information about the trip. It takes place the second weekend in August. A beautiful time to visit Florida. I imagine it's going to be warm. We'll probably be wearing shorts and hanging out and having a good time and learning a ton about real estate. So we're super excited about this. It was a big part of our curriculum for many years. We believe you got to get out and kick the dirt. And yet our lives became so busy and we had so many other things going on that Russ and I really put the brakes on that, and we're dusting it off and excited to come out. And this seems like the perfect market to revitalize the field trip models. So if folks are interested, we hope they'll come out and we'll get a chance to hang out with you, my friend.
We are so looking forward to seeing you guys.
Well, there's Chris Funk. Thank you so much for all the great information you'd shared today. It sounds like there's still reasons to love Florida.
We sure think so. Thank you. Appreciate it.
More when we come back. You're tuned to the Real Estate Guys radio program. I'm your host, Robert Helms.
Need help with your real estate investment portfolio? Check out the resources page at realestateguysradio.com.
Hi, I'm Brad Sumrock. At this year's AIM NatCon, you'll find out why apartments have been and continue to be the hottest sector for real estate investing, and why more and more people are moving their money out of Wall Street and into real estate, specifically apartment buildings. Learn from some of the best speakers and investors in the country. Gain access to industry experts and service providers from all over the USA that can help you earn more money and pay less taxes. Meet and network with hundreds of other apartment investors and other like-minded individuals. So whether you are new to investing or already an experienced apartment owner that wants to go bigger and faster, this conference is definitely for you. I'll see you there.
Join Damon John, Grant Cardone, Ken McElroy, Tom Wheelwright, the Apartment King Brad Sumrock, and the Real Estate Guys at the 4th Annual Apartment Investor Mastery National Conference, July 16th to 18th, in person in Dallas, Texas, or online. For all the details, send an email to aimnatcon@realestateguysradio.com. That's AIMNATCON, aimnatcon@realestateguysradio.com. In uncertain times like this, it's great to know there are two things you can always count on: high demand for affordable single-family homes to live in, and Terry Kerr's amazing Memphis team at Mid-South Home Buyers to find, fix, and manage the next addition to your recession-resistant real estate portfolio. The Memphis market is a logistics and distribution dynamo with an economic engine that's essential to moving goods and critical supplies all over the United States. Quality rehab, proven profitable property management, affordable rents, and solid ROI make turnkey property investing through Terry's team a dream when it matters most. To learn more about Memphis and Mid-South home buyers, send an email to midsouth@realestateguysradio.com. That's midsouth@realestateguysradio.com.
Hi, this is Garrett Sutton, Rich Dad's advisor. Remember, equity happens, and you're listening to The Real Estate Guys.
And welcome back to the Real Estate Guys radio program. Thanks for tuning into the show. Hey, if you've ever wanted to do bigger deals using other people's money, come out to the Secrets of Successful Syndication. It happens in mid-September in Dallas, Texas. All the details available on our website at realestateguysradio.com under the tab that says Events, where you can also learn about our field trip to Florida. So great to hear from Chris.
Yeah, it's going to be great. You know, we talk a lot about Gary Keller's book, The One Thing, and the focusing question, what's the one thing I can do to make everything else I need to do either easier or unnecessary? Such a great question. It's really a matter of leverage. And if you think about it, if you say, hey, I've heard great things about the Florida market, and of course, there's all kinds of metros, 3 professional football teams that I'm aware of. I know because my nephew plays for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and so hopefully he'll make the team this year also. But the thing is if you say, well, gee, I'd like some exposure to the Florida market, you have to ask yourself, well, the key is relationships. And so the beautiful thing about knowing a guy like Chris is you know the one guy, and that one guy knows many markets because he's got a big team and he's got a lot of inventory. You know, you did the promo for syndication. And of course, syndication is about going bigger, faster. If you're going to go to all the trouble to learn a market, to build relationships, to go out there and do your due diligence, come on something like the field trip, see the market, meet the people, look at the product, you're going to go to all that trouble and just buy one property or 2 properties. I mean, that's amortizing a lot of expense into a small deal. But as a syndicator, you can raise money and you can buy a lot. The key is, where do you get that deal flow? And it goes back to that focusing question. Who's the one guy or gal or whatever? What's the one thing I could know? Who's the one person I could know that would give me exposure to multiple markets, a big team, and deal flow? And that's why we spend so much time with Chris and his team, because they do that and they eat their own cooking. And they handle the property management side, which is arguably the single most important component post-sale. I mean, after you've bought it, the market can be great, but if you got lousy management, you're still going to have a problem. So it's turnkey in many, many ways, and it's working even in this crazy economy because he has scale and he has foresight. And you heard him talking about, you know, getting ahead of the curve as far as the land goes. And I know I talk to these guys all the time, and you see the way that they're working to try to drive costs out, to bring value to the investors in spite of all the pressure that is on them in the labor markets and in the materials markets. So very happy to know Chris, very excited to get out there and go on a tour. Unlike you, Robert, I haven't had a chance to see his operation. I'm really looking forward to doing that.
Well, it's certainly impressive. His team's great, and that's a big part of it. But I think you hit on something, Russ, which is if I'm going to go to the trouble to go learn a market anyway, then why not exploit that, if you will, over the potential to be in different submarkets? And I think there's even another point, which is this. If I'm more of the passive investor, yeah, I'll get a house or two and have somebody else management, that turnkey kind of idea. It takes the work on the front to, 1, get in relationship, and 2, really understand the market. If I was going to be serious about investing in some of the markets we talked about today, I would go there once for several days, meet the players, understand the lay of the land, and then I would feel confident that I don't have to go back every month and check it out. That's just kind of investor I am. Well, there's an opportunity for you to spend some quality time from people that know the market. Oh, and you get to hang out with the real estate guys. That's never bad. We love meeting listeners. So we're excited about it. Hopefully today you learned something great about the Florida market, got some ideas, because Chris was as open as he is with his business model and why they do what they do. And if the market sounds interesting, then come hang out with us in mid-August in Jacksonville. If you want to learn more about the market, just send an email to jacksonville@realestateguysradio.com. That'll get you Chris's report, plus all the details on the field trip. Next, we've got another exciting show for you. A lot of awesome guests as the summer continues. Until then, go out and make some equity happen.
This episode of the Real Estate Guys radio show is brought to you by Paradigm Life. powerful cash management strategies using life insurance. Learn more at beyourbank.com. Mid-South Home Buyers, low-cost, turnkey cash flow properties in Memphis, Tennessee. Corporate Direct, asset protection strategies for real estate investors from attorney and Rich Dad advisor Garrett Sutton. Find these and other great companies under the Resources tab at realestateguysradio.com. To learn how you can expose your product or service to the Real Estate Guys audience, call 888-489-7723 extension 4. That's 888-489-7723 extension 4. Or use the feedback page at realestateguysradio.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week right here on the Real Estate Guys Radio Show.